Good evening and welcome to Paranormal Path Peeps. And good afternoon to everyone in the US. Hope everyone's okay. And tonight we are going to be speaking to Alex Matsuo. Sorry, how are you doing?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Yeah, brilliant, thank you. I've got co-host Lois here
Hello, everyone.
from Scotland.
Yep,
So how are
sunny
you getting on up
Scotland.
there? Sunny Scotland?
Well, I wouldn't say sunny. It was really raining today, then it's brightened up. So there was sunshine somewhere. It's lovely to meet you, Alex.
You too.
Okay, so we always start sort of wondering what sort of got you into the paranormal? What was like your first encounter?
Okay. That's a great question. So my I like to say like my origin story with the paranormal is very much layered. Like I had like the earliest experience I can really think of was back when I was about 7 or 8 years old. And this was an incident that happened while I was visiting my great grandmother in Kentucky, in Appalachia, Kentucky. That's important to note because culturally the paranormal is very interesting in that sense. um, yeah, so I was visiting my great grandmother in Kentucky. Literally, it was one of those. It was a dark and stormy night, and
Hey, Jenny.
yeah, gotta love those when that happens. So it was dark and stormy night. I looked outside because I was a Southern California kid. Um I'd never really seen like really good thunderstorms before because I grew up in San Diego. So I think we maybe
Okay.
had I want to say we maybe had 5 days of rain a year, if
Oh my
that.
gosh.
So yeah. So rain and anything like that was very foreign to me. So I was looking outside, watching the thunderstorm, just sort of marveling how much rain was coming down and how windy it was, and the thunder and the lightning. It was very dramatic. But I see this figure. So my great grandmother lived on a hill. So I see this figure standing on the hill. The wind's blowing like crazy, but this person was wearing robes, like almost like a Grim Reaper type of robes, but the
Huh.
robes weren't moving with the wind. I don't even think this figure was even wet.
Oh my gosh.
And I got weirded out, and I'm like, okay, so I closed the curtain. I got curious. I looked out, and the figure's still out there. And as the lightning flashed, I realized that it was closer to me. And I'm like, okay, close the curtains again. Look back out. Again, the figure's getting closer and closer and closer. And I was like, okay, I need to stop doing this thing. So eventually, I stop looking outside and I get into bed, because at this point I'm a little spooked. And
Yeah.
yeah, so I was spooked. And so my great grandmother, usually she slept with me in the bed. Um, and the way that this mattress was, if you sat on it, it didn't sink. It actually tilted. It wasn't a very expensive mattress. It tilted. So whenever my great grandmother got into bed with me, the bed would tilt. I would slide down, and her body would stop me. But in this case, the bed tilted, and I slid right off the bed.
Oh wow.
So, yeah, and I just look up and the bed is still tilted, like somebody is still there, and then it just resets and gets back to normal. So,
Oh, wow.
Oh my
yeah,
gosh.
so that was my first like really remarkable experience that I could remember that I was like, "Oh, I mean," and I was spooked, but I also was sitting there like, "Oh, that's cool."
What was
I'm
good?
so pleased that you thought it was cool because oh my god, I don't know how I would have coped. I don't.
What was going through your mind at that time, Alex? Like this bed suddenly just tilting with you on it.
Yeah, it was just really funny. Like it tilted while I was on it. And this was a full size bed. So I was like, on my side of the bed. And it literally just went, and I just slid off. And it was funny because when the bed tilted, I was like, oh, thank God Mama's here. But
Oh my
not,
god.
not quite the
Oh,
case.
God.
Wow. So how old were you when that happened?
I want to say about 7 or 8 years old. I
Oh
know it
my
was after my
gosh.
grandfather passed away, but I can't remember if it was like the summer after or if it was like 2 summers after. It's like one of those, like, it's a little muddy, but yeah. No, I know that I was still pretty young, like I
Yeah.
say about 7 or 8 years old.
Oh my gosh. So, did things like that occur at the house anyway?
So my great grandmother's house is a bit of an interesting enigma. It so at night, you know, I would hear banging on the walls and everything, like coming from the outside, and I would hear somebody like walking around the house, and my mama would say like, "Oh, you better pray, child. That's the devil trying to get in."
Oh
And
my god.
keep in mind, this is also Appalachian, Kentucky. So Appalachian folklore is very is very specific and really spooky. Some of the best like ghost stories I've ever heard have come from my great grandmother, especially
Wow.
like in in Appalachia, Kentucky. But even then, they weren't really like ghost stories. It was more like, hey, this is what happened to old man Bob down the street, you know. So it was like, okay, so these are real. This actually happened. Like there was one story where a set of twins in my family, they got into a fight in the woods at night, in the middle of the night. And one of them, you know, unalived the other, because we're streaming on Facebook. I'm choosing my words carefully.
Yeah. Thanks for that.
So one of them unalived the other, and apparently as soon as this twin unalived his brother, the moon turned blood red, and that's how like everyone in the town knew that something happened,
Gosh.
because the moon turned red. And I'm like, okay. I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, that's a yeah, that's a little creepy. That was a little spooky. I think that was actually my mama's siblings. Yeah, so there was a lot of like really strange lore, and I had heard and I experienced and heard the things too, like if like don't go into the woods at night, don't even go outside at night. If you hear your mom call your name in the woods, don't go, because it's not your mom.
Oh wow.
I'd hear screaming in the woods, which, you know, could very well have been an animal, but it's just very spooky out there, out in the woods. And
Gosh.
yeah, very, very spooky. Even driving around like the woods like at night. And really, my family lived in the woods. Like, you know, you go into town but to get
They're in
like
the
your
woods.
groceries and stuff, but you know, otherwise you're getting on like a 2-lane highway going around a mountain, and you know, that's where they all lived, and that's where my grandma grew up. So
Wow.
yeah, a lot of weird
That's
stuff
awesome.
happening.
Do you know, that's what I love about America? It's compared to like England and all that, because I absolutely love the spooky feeling. It must be high with energy, and I've always, and I said this a million times, I'm sure I've got a past life in America because I am so drawn to the place. It's unbelievable.
Nice. Yeah, I have similar feelings about Gettysburg.
Oh
Same thing.
wow.
I'm very drawn to that place. Oh, and I forgot to mention, so where I was and where my grandma grew up and everything is only about an hour away from Point Pleasant, West Virginia, and maybe an hour and a half, 2 hours away from like Wright-Patterson Air Force Base. So, you know, there's a lot of
Okay.
spooky, and also if anyone has ever watched Hellier, you know, by the Newkirk.
Oh, I love them. I know. Yeah, I met them.
Hellier, Kentucky is maybe 45 minutes to an hour away. So,
Right. Oh, awesome. Yeah.
so
I
that
met
whole
them
area
at
is
stage a couple of years ago. They're
nice.
such lovely people. Yeah.
Yeah, that whole area in eastern Kentucky has something very odd going on.
Yeah, and there's also questionable links to aliens as well, isn't there?
Oh yeah. And I think a lot has to do. Actually, it's 2 hours away from Hellier. So, but still close enough. It's a day's drive.
Oh gosh,
Not
yeah,
even a day.
for you. That's nothing for you, though, is it? The
Oh
thing is,
no.
2 hours for us is a long way. For you, it's just like, oh, it's next door. It's so relative.
Yeah, there's a lot happening up in that area, especially because it's a lot of woods, and it's mountains, and you have a lot of really interesting folklore too. I mean, because my family up in that area, a lot of them go to a Free Will Baptist church, which is very close to Pentecostal. Like they're, you know, very like speaking in tongues. They don't have the snakes though. They don't bust out the snakes, but that really spooky churchy stuff. That's like I think this is paganism and witchcraft, but y'all are calling it Christianity. but it's all good. It's it's
Oh,
all
that's
good.
cool. I wasn't kind
Yeah.
of sure how, if it was like conflict with like the spooky side, or but if it's part of it, that's cool.
Yeah, I think it's part. Yeah. I have a feeling just a lot of what's going on in that area is very yeah, there's a lot happening. There's a lot happening up in that area.
It sounds absolutely awesome place to live.
Oh, yeah. I mean, my mom lived there up until she passed away, and um I know she liked it. She liked living up there. So I was like, "Okay.
Yeah.
You do you,
Oh,
ma." So, yeah.
yeah, that's it. Yeah, it sounds brilliant. So I've got a few hellos to say. So we've got Jenny Sylvan, Sunny
Hey,
Oh.
Jenny.
I'm rubbish at pronouncing. Glenn Laycock, Kerry, Sido, Bilbro, Irene Takura, Facebook user, hey. Diana May, Canadian Paranormal Investigations, hiya. Facebook user again, hey all. Hope everyone's all right. So yeah, so what a start to paranormal and strange encounters then.
Mhm.
So when did you start sort of questioning it more then?
Yeah, that's a great question. So even like up throughout my childhood, I had some really like interesting encounters. Like when I was doing a show in a theater, and I saw a ballet dancer that was stretching over by the dressing rooms, and I looked at her, she looked at me. We were at places for our show, but she wasn't in costume. I didn't recognize her as a cast member. And
Wow.
then she just kind of disappeared in front of me. I was like, "Oh, that's weird." I was like, in a blink, she was gone. Um, I've had instances. I had an incident in my old house where this was before I moved into the house. It was my grandma's house, and we eventually moved in with my grandma. But before we did that, I was hanging out in one of the rooms, and I was laying on one of the beds, and it felt like I got smacked on the forehead, but there was nothing around. Like there was nothing on top of it, like above the bed, like no shelves. Because we live in Southern California, there's earthquakes. You don't put anything above, above your bed. Um,
Oh, okay.
so I felt like I got smacked on the forehead, which was really odd. Um, I had an incident of, I guess it could be sleep paralysis, but it was one of those things where I felt like I was getting held down.
Okay.
I opened my eyes and I see this female figure above me. She's wearing like black clothes. Her skin is completely black, not like, not like a person of color, but like black,
Yeah.
black,
Yeah.
with like a gold outline around her. And I open my eyes and she literally goes, shh, like while she's like covering my
Oh my
mouth.
gosh.
And then of course I had the incident after my car accident that was covered on this book, One Bed Over, A Hospital Haunting, which was also the story that was covered on Haunted Hospitals.
Haunted hospitals, yeah.
Yeah, it dealt with the near death. I debate. I almost unalived. I almost passed, but I don't think I had the near death experience that people commonly have. I think what I experienced was an out of body experience.
Wow.
Um, and what resulted from that was it seems like I picked someone else up along the way who ended up attaching himself to me, and
Oh my
took about
god.
8 months to get that whole thing resolved. Not super fun. Yeah. So, and it was after that specific incident that I really wanted to know more. Like, I wanted to know more, like, what did I encounter? And also, when that whole thing happened, it was 2006. The paranormal community, the paranormal climate that we have today did not exist.
No, it was different. Yeah.
There weren't teams just openly around. I mean, I'm sure there may have been some teams or some researchers around San Diego, but we didn't know how to find them. Like, we didn't know where they were.
It was like 2003, and we had a TV show called Most Haunted.
Mm-hmm.
And it's after that then people realised that they could get out and like investigate. We had no idea about that. It was a thing that you could actually do it until then.
Yep.
So
Yep,
yeah.
exactly. So it was definitely one of those things where, the paranormal community that we know today did not exist. And it was hard to find people, and I really wanted to learn more so that I myself could be a resource to my community. So that's actually why I started my team, so
Wow.
that
Dun, dun.
I could be a resource to help others. So that was my biggest motivator to start my team and really start diving deep into paranormal research and
Wow. That's
get deep
wonderful.
into this.
So how did you kind of get clients then, or because it wasn't a thing people spoke about? And how many
Right.
people came to you, like, just out of a laugh, just thinking, oh, let's have a laugh, let's do this?
We had quite a few. So back in 2011, when I was recruiting my team and I started my team, if I say this now in utter horror, but I used Craigslist.
Okay.
I
It's
used Craigslist.
it is an unusual way, but if it works.
Yeah. Besides putting out like ads in a paper, and also Facebook existed. I think we were just
2008-ish, yeah.
Yeah, I think we were just starting to get out of like when Facebook, you didn't have to have a college email address to join. So I would put posts on Facebook as well saying, hey, here's I have a team that's available to come check out your haunting or check out, anything that may be going on. And interestingly enough, a lot of the clients we were getting, the serious clients we were getting, were from the military. So we were actually investigating a lot of military housing when we first started. And also at the same time, my paranormal team itself consisted mostly of people from the military. I think I had 3 Marines and a sailor on the team.
Cool.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's interesting then, because at least, wow, I guess they're going to pick up more when they go to the house, as if, that background, aren't they?
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, I learned a lot about like just how environment and personalities can affect, hauntings and having those connections. And because there were times, we would do these investigations and whoever was haunting the military, like a military housing unit, like they wouldn't talk to me or the other civilian on the team. They would talk to my team members, which I was like, okay. Okay.
Do you think it is because they were in uniform? That's why they wanted to.
I think it may have been more of like they could relate to that person, or they felt the most comfortable talking to like a brother in arms, so to speak. Because even when we went to these houses to visit, I mean, my team members weren't in uniform. I mean, they had the haircut, they had the haircut and the physique, so you could look at them and be like, yeah, they're in the military. But I mean, they didn't wear their uniform. They didn't wear any like camo. They didn't wear anything that would ID them as a member of the military. And I noticed that with like our clients too. The husband, normally it was the husband that was serving. The husband would connect better with my team members. And it wasn't because of any like bias or anything like that. Well, bias in a way, but it wasn't because of like gender or anything like that. It's just they were able to better connect, especially since like all of my team members had been on deployments. They've been overseas. Primarily San Diego has Navy and Marines around, so deployments and transfers and moving a lot is very common. So I think they just had a lot of common ground that they could connect with.
Of course, yeah. It is a different world though, isn't it? It's something that I wouldn't understand, and people have been sort of moving and living in different places. For us it's unusual, but for them it's just reality, isn't it? And normal life.
Yep.
Yeah, not being able to form strong relationships with people because you're just going to move on, aren't you?
Yep.
It's just
exactly.
sort of a strange. Yeah, it's so different from sort of what I'm kind of used to, so I can understand that. We've got a note here from Ghostway Paranormal. Once visited Cielo Drive in LA, where the Sharon Tate murder took place. The energy there and around it was incredible. One lady with us was extremely affected. Chantal, hiya.
Hey, Chantal.
Chantal Radman, Erin West, how you doing?
Hey, Erin.
Yeah. Have you ever been really affected by spirit?
Mm, uh, yes, a few times.
Yeah.
Yeah, a few times, and one of them was actually up in Gettysburg. Gosh, I think it had
I
to have
want to
been
go there.
2000. Oh, yeah, there's an energy to Gettysburg. It's a
Yeah.
it's a special place to me. It is a bit there's a lot happening paranormally, so it could be a little overwhelming for some people.
Oh,
Um
yeah.
but yeah, I love it though. It's like one of my favorite places to visit. And I only live an hour and a half away now, so I'm like,
Bonus.
hey,
Oh wow.
we're gonna go often.
Did you go
So
to the meetup a few weeks ago?
oh, the Battlefield Bash. Yeah, I
Yeah.
went on Saturday. Yeah,
Awesome. Yeah.
yeah, that was a lot of fun. I think next time I go though, I think I'm just gonna get a hotel and stay for the entire weekend because one day was not enough to like meet people, hang out with people. Like, yeah, it definitely wasn't. It wasn't long enough. I needed I needed the whole weekend to be
Yeah.
there. So
If I go, I want to go there, and I want to go to Michigan Paracon as well, because
oh yeah,
like so many were there, weren't they?
oh
At
my
the
gosh, so many
place.
people were there.
Yeah, because I've met some of them in the UK recently this year.
Hmm.
So Brian J. Kano, Richard Estep, and various people, MJ Dixon. But there's quite a few I've met, this year, which is really cool. And then like, oh, Emma Paracon, Aaron Sagas was there, wasn't he as well? I
Oh,
think.
nice.
But yeah, but some awesome
Yes.
people.
Yeah, there's some amazing people that like went to Michigan Paracon. So I'm hoping maybe like next year I might be able to go. So you never
Yeah.
know. Um,
Hopefully, fingers crossed for you, Alex.
yeah.
Oh yeah, but the Paracons are brilliant. And you've been a speaker, haven't you?
Yeah, so I was at HillCon last month, the weekend of August 5th, 13th through the 15th. Yeah, it was at Haunted Hillview Manor up in Pennsylvania, which is actually I think it was like not too far from Pittsburgh. And I was a speaker there, and that was actually the first Paracon that I was like attending as a speaker, which was amazing. Um, and then in a couple weeks, I'll be at Fleetwood Paracon
Mm.
down in Brandy Station, Virginia, and I'll be a speaker there as well.
Oh, awesome! It's
Yeah,
brilliant, isn't it?
it's so much fun. I mean, conventions are tons of fun. You get a
Yeah,
chance to like meet the people in person that just been talking to online for the longest time.
it is
So
wonderful.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I love it because I've met so many people really through the Facebook community. And then
Hmm.
like I set up my own investigations like and invite people from around the UK and yeah, I've just met up with these wonderful people and you become firmer friends with them, don't you? Just through
Yeah, yeah.
Messenger
Yeah.
or just seeing each other and yeah, it's absolutely awesome. Yeah, so you're doing well with the books as well. So what
Yeah.
got you writing in the first place?
Oh gosh. Well, I had been wanting to write a book for a while, and it was funny because literally I was just like, my goal is to write one book. That's it, just one book.
Uh,
And that was back in 2013, and I decided to already take content that I already created. Actually, my first book, The Haunted Actor, was more of an expansion from my thesis from grad school. And The Haunted Actor it talks about the connection between theater and the paranormal. So bridging those two topics together. And I mean, I go through like haunted theaters, but I also go into plays and how different plays, talk about ghosts and everything.
yeah,
And
Macbeth.
so Shakespeare
Yeah,
was
Macbeth.
discussed quite a bit.
Yeah,
So is Christopher Marlowe and Ben Jonson, because during the Elizabethan era, when they were really writing all of their plays, I mean, there was a lot of spirituality embedded into these
yeah.
pieces. So that was really what The Haunted Actor was about, and I just wanted to put that out there because I'm like, I wrote about this and I'm really passionate
Awesome.
about it. Not really a specific targeted audience, but let's give it a try. Let's
Yeah.
put it out there. And yeah, after I put out that first book, I guess I got bit by the bug because then I just wanted to keep I just wanted to keep writing books. And so my next book after that was More Than Ghosts, and that's a guide for doing residential cases in the paranormal. I'm very passionate about residential cases, but I also know that there are a lot of people out there who don't know how to handle residential cases and they want to learn more. Or they would emulate what they see on TV and then go to somebody's house and do the same thing. And I'm just like, oh, wait, nope, oh, full stop. Because there's a different way we do, that we do residential cases. That's not quite the same as the same way that we handle residential case or public places. So I wrote that book to be a guide for people wanting to dive into that. And then after that, I wrote The Haunting of the 10th Avenue Theater, which is about a haunted theater that I had unlimited access to for about 2 years, which was nice.
Oh my gosh, that's brilliant.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was awesome. I'm actually going to be putting out a second edition of that shortly. I'm working on a book right now that's coming out later this month. So I need to get that wrapped up and tied up in a pretty bow before I move on to the next project. And then I wrote another book called The Brave Mortal's Guide to Ghost Hunting. And that's more of a general introduction to the paranormal. I have a pretty substantial following on TikTok, so I get a lot of questions from people who are brand new to the field that want to learn more. And so that book was kind of like the answer to that. And I also write content on my blogs too that's free. So if someone can't afford to get a book, they can still go to my blog. But the book's there as a resource. And then this last year I released One Bed Over, a hospital haunting, and that was actually an answer to the haunted hospitals episode, because I was in the studio telling my story for a couple of hours and I knew they were only going to condense it down to 15, 20 minutes. So I'm like, okay, well, I want to make sure the full story gets out there. Yeah. So if someone wants to learn more after they see the episode, they can read the book. So that's why One Bed Over came about. And then the new book that's coming out later this month, it's called The Hamptonville Hauntings, Ghosts of the Trivia Clinic. And that's about a haunted place in North Carolina that I frequent quite a bit. It's starting to get a little bit more attention now, which is great. It's getting more attention. But I'm also noticing that some of the stories surround, the ghost stories and the history is starting to get, it's kind of like a game of telephone. The story changes the more people tell the story. So I wrote the book to kind of put a baseline down for the stories, and I also want to put out my historical research that I did on the location and interviewed people who lived there. So I really wanted to put something out there. So if someone wanted to investigate the Trivia Clinic and they wanted to dive deeper, they can check out the book. So
that's brilliant because you can go to a location, investigate it, then check your book for the validation.
Yes,
so
and that's
from going through the history. Saves some time. That's brilliant. I like it.
Definitely.
We should do that for a location in the UK.
I would love to if I can use that trip as a tax write-off, because it'd be for my business.
Exactly. Yeah.
Is there any particular country you've ever wanted to go to, Alex?
Oh, yeah, that's a great question. So let's see. So I studied abroad in Oxford in 2007. And I did have some spooky experiences there that I would love to revisit. I really would love to revisit as a paranormal investigator now. But a country that I would love to visit to explore more paranormally would be Japan. Because I have family that is Japanese. I'm a quarter myself, and so I did get exposed to a little bit of Japanese ghost lore growing up. So I've always been fascinated by it, and I would love to investigate over there for sure.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's not accepted over there, is it, either, though? Because we've had Irene Takura, I don't know if she's still watching. She's from Japan, and she has to keep her sort of mediumship, quiet.
Mm-hmm.
So
I think it depends. I think it honestly depends, the region, and it depends on I guess family dynamics too, and who you surround yourself with. Because I do have family in Japan who doesn't quite have Irene's experience, because she and I have talked about this quite a bit, especially after the tsunami that hit Japan. There were stories, and I think Unsolved Mysteries actually caught this. I think they did the story as well. But after the tsunami hit, and, so many people lost their lives. Taxi drivers would pick up people and they said, "Oh, I want to go home." And they would give the drivers their address. The drivers would go to their house and say, "Hey, here's your house." They look back and people are gone,
Oh my God.
to the point where the drivers actually started contributing their own money for these ghost passengers. So, in a country where, yes, the paranormal can be seen as taboo, the fact that there is, I feel like there's an underground acceptance of it that a lot of people don't talk about. And considering that there were these taxi drivers picking up these people who would disappear, along the way, and no one was really freaking out. It was like, well, okay, it was like, okay, well, I'll just put that under the ghost passenger list. The fact that there was an acceptance of that, and also, I mean, there's also an annual there's an annual festival that oh my gosh, and of course I can't remember it. Oh man, it's gonna come to me at like 3 a.m. But there's an annual festival that's very I say similar, but it's culturally they are very different. It's very similar to Dias de los Muertos, but there is an annual festival, Bon. It came to me, where it's believed that our ancestors come, or our family come, like the veil sinner, and they come from the other side, and you light a candle for them, and you put out favorite foods, and there's a lot. So the fact that Bon and Obon is still very much celebrated in Japan as well, Japan and in the United States. I mean, I went to an Obon festival. I've gone every year for the last 15 years. So, yeah.
So I know Irene's always cooking for special occasions. So many special occasions out in Japan, aren't there? Like celebrations.
Oh yeah.
Loads of things. Terry Davison mentions woods out there as well. The suicide.
Yeah, that's what I was saying to the guys. I can't. It starts with an A.
Yeah.
I can't spell it with a
Aokigahara. Yeah.
Yeah. I think Stephen Daly's tried to spell it.
Yeah, he spelled it. Stephen spelled it right. Yep.
Well done. I couldn't. But oh gosh, that must be horrible. I don't know if I could go there.
There's quite a lot of speculation about that area. Not so much on a spiritual sense, but I think the show with William Shatner tried to do a deep dive into this as well. But it's speculated that there might be something in the actual makeup of the forest that that intensifies like depressed feelings. I mean, it's just like with EMF poisoning when you're exposed to too much electromagnetic fields, you start to like feel overwhelmed, your anxiety goes up, and it's believed that could be what's going on in Aokigahara. And I'm totally butchering that pronunciation. I'm so sorry, Irene, and to any of my family that's watching. So
you do better than I could.
Yeah, so and so there is something valid happening in that forest, because I mean, if you go in there, there's so many signs that'll say, turn around, or there'll be phone numbers for, hotlines to call if you need support. So I mean, there's stuff definitely happening in that forest. And I think legends and lore, I think it's believed that there could be a guardian in that forest as well that's causing people to unalive themselves as well. But I mean, the roots in Japan are you have the yokai, there's so much spirituality embedded in Japan's history. I mean, they have a demon for everything. Like there's a demon that cleans your bathroom by licking all the scum off your tile. So there's like a demon for everything, and demons that, and when I say demons, I'm not necessarily talking about like the Christian perspective of demons, like the way that Christians perceive demons and the way that
It's
and
different. Yeah.
it's so different. So when I say demons, I'm not going like that
Yeah.
type, but more of like these are spiritual beings. Yeah, I mean, if you just look at like the yokai and all the lore behind that, it's Aaron, I'm not sure how to summon that demon.
Yeah, we all want that demon.
Now, I
But
mean,
who
it will
knows?
clean
Just,
it will clean your bathroom with its tongue. I mean, that's the so I mean, if you're okay with it like licking everything and cleaning everything, like for me, I'm not picky. If it's clean, it's clean. But
Yeah.
maybe go over it with like a bleach thing. Yeah. So
Oh yeah. So Stephen thinks it's down to sort of the elemental side of things.
Yeah.
A lot of it.
Yes and no. Yeah. So one could say the yokai are elementals. That's actually very interesting. But yes, the way that you pass on, the way that you are the way that you pass does have an effect of how you basically lived your afterlife, like an Onryo. Yes, Onryo. There's a Yurei and there's an Onryo. Onryo, that comes from from basically if you were unalived, very much not like you were unalived or somebody unalived you, or you were tormented or tortured before you were unalived. And Onryo could very well and I don't think it's the person that becomes the Onryo. It's like that's the creature that's essentially born from that pain and that torment. That's my personal opinion.
Yeah.
But yeah, so but the Yurei is like the overall umbrella term for ghosts, and then the Onryo gets a bit more specific with the angry ghosts. But then there's also the Ju-on, which is what they they it's they made a whole horror franchise based on it, but their Ju-on is an actual thing too. That's more of a vengeance based spirit. So yeah.
I never knew we'd go down this route, and it's really cool.
I didn't think so either.
That is really
It's just
interesting.
amazing. Yeah, because this Suicide Forest, like I hear of it, I don't know much about it, and yeah, it's kind of intriguing, isn't it? And
yeah, and I did a whole series on my YouTube channel about Japanese ghosts and spirits. I mean, one of the ones that I grew up with that scared the living daylights out of me is like there's a spirit that inhabits like dark spaces. So like if you have like your door cracked open and it's nighttime, you could see like somebody's like eye, staring back at you, and that's a spirit.
Oh my god, wow.
Right? Gives you chills, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And I heard that one when I was like pretty young too. So I mean, my mom was not happy with my uncle for telling me that story, because I couldn't be around like any gaps. Like I think it's like called a gap ghost. I forgot what it was called specifically.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, but I had to have all the doors shut. I couldn't look in any gaps that could be around because I was like, the ghost is gonna get me. So yeah. So so it did its job. It spooked me quite a bit. And then oh my gosh, there's so many types of Japanese spirits. I did a whole YouTube video about it, so if anyone's interested,
we need to definitely check out this YouTube video. I need to find it, and I sort of post it onto my group.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I'm really intrigued now. But
oh, it's freaky. It's freaky.
Yeah, it sounds it, because I've spoken to Irene before, and you hear a story about the condo she used to live in, which is horrendous. Sort of like people killing themselves and everything, which was, I just moved away from that. But yeah, I'm intrigued now. So yeah, I definitely want to watch YouTube. So where in the US do you specifically like going then? Or where do you want to go? Where do you want to go?
Where do I want to go? That's a good question. I would love to go explore some of the Midwest a bit more. There seems to be a lot of really good locations in the Midwest that are absolutely like hopping with activity. especially around Ohio, like Poasttown Elementary. There's a lot happening in the like over in like Ohio and like more of the middle of America. Oklahoma. My best friend lives in Oklahoma, so I'm like, well, I can go to Oklahoma and hang out with her and go check out some spirits. So
Yeah, that's brilliant.
because I've done the West Coast and I've done the East Coast. I haven't hit everything on either coast, but I've got a pretty good understanding of the West Coast and I got a good understanding of the East Coast. Now I need to focus a little bit more on the middle of America.
Oh, that's brilliant. Yeah, the fact that you are going to like areas and just because you've just got such a large expanse of land. For us, it's mad. You can see how big England is. You can see how big Scotland is.
Yep.
Guys, I'm going to have to bail on this interview
okay.
because my sound's dead.
Yeah.
Because
Okay,
Alex is breaking in and out.
All right,
It was lovely meeting you, my darling. Sorry.
You too.
I do but what I'll do is I'll mod.
Okay then. All right then. Cheers.
Bye.
Okay.
Bye. Bye.
Sorry, Lois. Bye.
Bye.
Okay. Sorry about that.
Okay.
She seemed to have problems with her internet like straight away.
Oh.
So I've confused a few people as well because I usually do the show on Monday, so I advertise it on a Sunday, but because but we're all doing good. Have you been to the Queen Mary?
I have been, yes. I have investigated the Queen Mary. Yeah. Yeah. So I didn't have a lot of like, experiences, but we did have some cool things happen, like in the locker room by the pool where the little girl is believed to haunt. My team and we actually sang Ring Around the Rosie, but we didn't sing the last word. So going ashes, ashes, we all fall. We didn't say the last word. And when we were reviewing the data, we didn't hear with our ears, but when I was reviewing the data, you could hear this little voice say down, like,
oh, beautiful.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I saw the place my dad used to work on it when he was at the sea. So
nice.
Place I really want to go to. I used to work in the engine rooms, and oh my god, from what I imagine, I bet it was horrendous, like the heat and everything. Oh gosh, be hell to me working in a place like that.
Mm-hmm.
So when he mentioned it, just cringed. But then by the time I was really interested in spirits and that sort of thing, he got dementia, so I couldn't really ask much about it, like if he experienced anything. But he probably, I don't know. But yeah. So have you been to many places in the UK? Then, if you've been to Oxford,
I have been. Yes.
Travel out and about. Did you investigate them?
No, this was 2007, so this was actually way before my paranormal life.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. I bet you wish you'd checked out a few places at the time.
Yes. Yeah, I did do a ghost walk of Oxford. So I got to hear some of the more generalized ghost stories around Oxford, but nothing like, I didn't really get a chance to take like a deep dive, but the ghost walk was fun. It was a lot of fun.
I tend to do a few of those. It gets you to see the area and the buildings around the area, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Which is great, and you sort of walk to places that generally you wouldn't see as a tourist. So that's good as well. So, so do you pick up things mediumistically at all?
Not really. I usually tell people that I'm about as psychic as a hot pile of wet garbage.
Okay.
Because I don't have I have some, I feel like I do have some empathic abilities. Like I can feel emotions and stuff. And I think a lot of that just comes from training as an actor. Because, I have to be more in tune with my emotions and with other people and having to read the room. So I think that does come from, it came from somewhere. It just didn't pop out of nowhere. But besides that, I know some people can see them. I know some people can hear spirits, or some people can do both. They can see and hear them, which is amazing. I guess I can feel them, and what they're feeling, what their mood is. But otherwise, I don't really put myself out there as a medium or
Yeah.
someone who has abilities, because I feel like then there's more expectations out of you, and I just like being able to just feel it out, write down or speak what I'm experiencing, and then I
Yeah,
either get
get you.
validated or someone tells them I'm totally wrong, and I say, "Yep, hot pile of wet garbage. That's my abilities right there."
That's it. It is interesting, but the fact that as a child you saw so much, which, yeah, 7, it's like not a good thing, is it? But wow.
Yeah, it's funny. Like as a kid I experienced a lot. But then I think the whole incident that was covered on Haunted Hospitals with One Bed Over, I think that may have traumatized me so much that I must have closed it off. That's the only
Yeah,
thing I can really think of that could cause that, because um other than that, yeah, I mean, I don't know.
can you sort of give a very brief story about what happened in that then? So yeah, it was close
Yeah.
to a near-death experience.
Yeah, so I was in a really bad car accident, so I was not doing too hot. I had to be taken to the hospital, specifically in trauma. Essentially I got in an accident, and another car came and hit me, knocked me over the guardrail, and I fell 25 feet
Oh my
um
gosh.
onto concrete below. So I was not in a good place.
Yeah.
I had to be taken to the hospital pretty quickly. Um, I was conscious for the most part for the entire time until they put me in the ambulance, and because they were moving me. I had broken bones that weren't held together.
God.
That was fun. Um,
Ouch.
yeah, oh, it hurt. It was really
Yeah.
painful.
Jeez.
Um,
No.
yeah, and yeah, they took me into the trauma room. I was kind of going in and out.
Yeah.
Um, and essentially there was a moment where I was outside of my body, and I was
Wow.
looking at myself at the foot of the bed, but also I was able to kind of float around, and I could see my mom and friends
Oh, bless you.
in the hospital lobby. Yeah, so I was able to see what was going on, and then I came back into the room. I was watching the doctors work on me, but there was another guy in the room next to me, and his body was getting worked on, because my car accident happened New Year's Eve 2005, and it was raining that night. So hospitals were
Okay.
full. Hospitals
Yeah.
were
New
absolutely full.
New
So we were
Year's.
sharing
Yeah.
a trauma room. And the guy next to me, he was in much worse shape than I was. Like, there was one point when the doctors were working on me that I would look over and I saw him, and the nurse saw that I was watching him, and she actually put a frosted divider between us.
Oh God.
It
Yeah.
didn't really help. I mean, it was a lot of red I was seeing on the other side. It was a lot of red,
God.
because he was bleeding pretty
Mm.
intensely. But as I was watching myself out of my body, watching myself on the bed, I look over and I see there's a guy watching someone being worked on as well, and it was that guy watching himself
Oh
getting worked
my
on.
God.
Yeah,
That's
so we
incredible.
locked eyes. I went back into my body. Uh, the short version of it all is I started seeing shadows after the accident while I was in the hospital. It was a humanoid shaped shadows, and then eventually they took form, and I could see this man in a leather jacket who was very much not happy with me, and um,
Oh.
he would say things like, "Why you, not me? Why do you live and I had to die?" Um,
Oh
and this
my
went on
God.
for about 8 months. So yeah,
So the guy next door died then.
yes, he did. He did not make it.
Oh my gosh.
Yep.
Wow. So he just came, yeah, hounding you really.
Yeah. Yeah, pretty much. And then eventually, we were able to get everything resolved. Eventually,
Wow.
it took a bit.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. So eventually, we were able to get things resolved and whatnot. But it took a while. It took a while.
My gosh. Yeah. Totally get you because I've interacted with something for 2 years, but it's never that intense, to
Hmm.
live with something so intense. And then you've
Yeah.
got your normal sort of day job to get through and stuff, and you've got this going on all the time.
Yeah, so essentially this ended up getting resolved. It lasted for about 8 months. So August of that year, after everything had resolved itself, it eventually stopped. So I don't deal with it anymore, thankfully.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, I'm glad you're out of that one. My gosh. That's the thing about the paranormal world. We just don't know what can happen, do we? Like, we
Hmm.
go and investigate, and sometimes, like, I've had things follow me home, and you just don't know what you're going to get on a specific night. And that's what I
Hmm.
love about it, really.
Oh yeah, 100%. 100%. Like truly you never know. Truly, you never know what's going to happen. You never know, like you just never know. You never
No,
know. So
no, you could get the most random thing ever come up, and it's like, wow, it's just so mind blowing, isn't it? Yeah.
right. Yeah, really, really it is. It really is. So yeah, yeah. So that was essentially what happened with me. Um with
Wow.
that. And if you want to know more, there's a book. Anyone who's watching, if they want to know more, there's a book. It's called One Bed Over: A Hospital Haunting. This story was also covered on the TV show Haunted Hospitals.
Wow.
So yeah, so there's resources. There's other places you can go to, if you want to learn more about what happened. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
yeah, I want to. I need to get your books now. They sound brilliant. So do you want? Do you get them from Amazon?
yeah, yeah, you can grab them from Amazon. If you go to Amazon.com and just type in my name, it should pop up. My
Right.
author page should pop up.
Oh, that's brilliant then. So yeah, I think I'll be looking at Amazon, definitely. Let's see if I can get them delivered in the next couple of days because I'm going away next week. So it'll
Oh,
be
there you
ideal
go.
reading matter for camping, won't it?
Ooh,
Ghost
yeah,
stories
be
while
good.
camping.
Good camping, reading material. Why not?
Yeah, especially when you get a hedgehog outside the tent. It's something like Blair Witch.
Oh my
Snuffling
goodness.
around. Yeah. So one night I had sort of snuffling around the tent. I thought, what the hell? And it's a little hedgehog. But it made so much noise for its size. It's like, oh, that gave me the creeps. Yeah.
Ugh.
It's
Oh my
mad, isn't it?
goodness.
I know.
Oh
It's
my
just me and
gosh.
the dog who go. So, yeah. Like, go to sleep quick. Look what's going on. But yeah.
Oh, that's so funny.
So what's your most scary experience then? Because that's one hell of an experience. But is there any time we've been really scared at location?
Um, no, not. I mean, compared to that, what happened
Yeah,
with the
that's a biggie. Like, how do you
That's
beat that?
that's
Yeah,
that's the big one.
yeah.
Now there
Gosh,
have been times I've been at different haunted locations, and there have been times where I've felt unsafe. Yes, that I've been
yeah.
like, okay, time to move on to someplace else, or time to leave this room because this is very like, ugh,
Something dark coming in, and yeah,
yeah, yeah. So
fear of safety.
yeah, so that's pretty much that was really it. Um, But yeah, anything like scary, that's definitely the
Yeah,
hospital
that's
haunting.
yeah. God, it's just it is amazing, isn't it? Like, wow, none of us would ever think of that happening. We
Mhm.
all hear of like near death experiences, things like that, but that encounter, my gosh, yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty intense
I've
for
seen some of
sure.
the haunted hospital ones, but we don't get a lot of them over here. So yeah, because I know Richard E. Step does some of the commentary on him, doesn't he?
Mhm.
So
Yeah, Richard S.
yeah.
Richard S. Tep actually did the commentary on my
Oh,
episode,
awesome! That's
and
brilliant.
he also wrote the foreword for the book.
Yay! Oh, that's
Yeah.
brilliant.
Yep.
Yeah, yeah. Because I met him a few weeks ago in the UK, so that was a great trip. So, if you do you want to go anywhere else in the world?
Ooh, that's a good question. Yeah, so I would love to go to. Oh goodness, I'd love to explore some of the haunted places like in Italy. Italy would be
Yeah,
amazing.
the island.
Um, yeah, and also, ironically, I'd love to investigate the White House, and I live just across the river from the White House. So,
Yeah,
and it's like, man, if only y'all like like allowed paranormal investigation
That'd be
for
awesome, though, wouldn't it? Like us getting in
gosh.
Buckingham Palace or one of the royal palaces.
Yes, that's exactly what it would be like. It would be like booking
Yeah,
like a royal palace. Like, I mean,
yeah.
there's some
Meet Abraham
castles over in the
Lincoln
UK.
somewhere.
Yeah. Oh
Yeah,
man, there's so many places I'd love to investigate around the world, or just places I'd love to go to. Oh, Aaron.
there are so many places. So, of all the like haunted locations, what do you prefer? Haunted house, sort of
Hmm.
prison,
Hmm.
what sort of
Yeah,
place?
if I like going to haunted prisons, but ooh, those can be pretty heavy places, especially when you go
Yeah,
to some of these prisons that were wrongfully imprisoning people.
yeah.
That's those are the difficult ones to visit, especially like I haven't been there yet. It's on my list, but I have to like prepare emotionally for it. Is Trans Allegheny. Um, and I say that because Trans Allegheny was notorious for imprisoning men for being gay. And
Oh,
that's a part of the
right.
history of Trans Allegheny that for some reason a lot of the paranormal community doesn't touch on. It's always about like, all the other people and all the other prisoners who were there, but it seems like we kind of forget that, you know,
Oh, that's shocking.
members of the LGBTQ plus community were imprisoned, especially up
Oh
until about the
no,
60s and 70s. And I think there's even some cases in the 80s where they were put in prison for being who they are.
shocking.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Oh dear.
So
Yeah, it's horrible. I'm glad the world's changed. I really
same.
am. It's. I know a lot of people in that community, and oh my god, yeah. So like, oh dear, no, it's just, yeah, that's horrendous.
Hmm.
Yeah, I've been to a prison and I sort of picked up some information about a prisoner, but the thing was, he killed someone in the 1970s,
Mm.
um, and like his family and her family is still around.
Oh
So I've
wow.
really got to be careful what I post on social media because there
Hmm.
are going to be families still around. I think basically his message was to let the family of the victim know that it was an accident rather than a deliberate murder. But it's not a sort of thing that I can go up now and say, oh, by the way, So I'm trying to find out who this guy was because I've got a lot of information which I got directly from him. And even on the SB7, he came through twice. I must apologise. It's just like, my God, it's so clear. But
Oh wow.
I was starting to record it. Then because of the nature of it and with it being recent, like 70s, I thought I can't
Hmm.
record this because I don't want this getting out because, it's really, you know, a bit too sensitive. So
Hmm.
I didn't record it, but I wished I've just got that, those two clips. But that would have, and
Yeah.
here's Wes. I love Wes to bits.
Oh, Wes. I met
Yeah.
Wes at the Battlefield Bash a few weeks
Oh,
ago.
well, I want to meet Wes. We keep meaning to try and meet, but things keep going wrong with COVID and stuff like that. So, yeah, I really want to meet Wes one day. I think there's about 4 opportunities now, which have just gone like so wrong. So, yeah, it started we're going to meet in Edinburgh, and yeah, and COVID and stuff.
Nice.
But yeah, but the battlefield that must have been brilliant though. But yeah. So with the battlefield, well, with the paracons, do you get investigations as well?
Um, so I'm still pretty new to the Paracon circuit. Usually
Okay.
when I do conventions, I'm in like the sci-fi geek side of it.
Okay. Yeah.
So like your Dragon Cons, which I'm not at this weekend.
Oh yeah, that's
Uh,
on. Yeah.
yeah, so Dragon Con or Comic Con, like those type of
Yeah.
conventions, and usually they don't have investigations with them because that's not
Yeah.
they
It's
may
not the
they may
same.
they may have a paranormal track, but they're not gonna try to book you know book investigation spots, for like the 30 people that may go to these tracks.
Yeah.
But yeah, so the Paracon I went to at Hillview Manor, that one did have an investigation that Dan Class led
Oh,
after.
awesome.
Yeah. And then I believe the Fleetwood Paracon, I think there is an investigation for that one as well.
That's
Um,
brilliant.
with Santiago. Oh my gosh, what's his last name? It starts with a C.
I'm shocking with names.
Cirillo? I'm probably butchering that. I'm sure I am.
I'm good at that.
And I think Becky Ann Gallantine's going to be there as well.
Wow.
And I think, yeah, I'm pretty sure there is an investigation aspect to it. So, yeah.
Yeah, that sounds cool. But, just these Paracons, just to meet like-minded people, it's so special, isn't it?
It really is just getting a chance to be in the same room with everyone. That's thank you, Wes. Okay, thank you.
This is cool.
I was like trying to remember. Yeah, just getting a chance to be in the same room with the people that you've been talking to on Facebook for the past,
Yeah,
year,
that's right.
couple years. Or for me, like 10 years.
Yeah.
It's nice to be able to meet them in person.
Yeah, and you feel like you know them already, don't you?
Yeah,
You've been through so much anyway. If you're friends with them on Facebook, you sort of get caught up in their lives a bit, and then
Yep.
you talk paranormal and stuff, and yeah, it's just
yeah, it is. It's kind of funny though, because there are there's a lot of cool people that I know online, and I always get a little nervous when I meet them in person because I'm like, is it gonna be awkward?
Oh,
like, hey, it's
yeah,
you never
get you.
know.
Yeah, that's it. But it is so wonderful. Like, I booked a location in the UK, and then I invited people from around the country who like respected. And they came along, and it's like, oh my God, it's you. It's so cool. And, we
That's
worked
awesome.
together and just like merging the energies and just working with different people, and different people have their own skills and everything. And
Oh,
the
yeah.
techniques you can learn and the things you can pick up as well.
Yep. Oh, yeah. I mean, there's so much we can all learn from each other, for
Oh,
sure.
definitely, yeah. And it's great, just working together. There is a lot of rubbish in the paranormal community and whatever, but yeah, where we can work together. Oh, we've got Richard Felix event. He's actually going to US, isn't he, next year? That's been arranged. So yeah, but I was recently on a Brian J. Kano weekend.
Oh,
Richard
nice.
Felix was there. Oh my gosh, he's just so cool. Right in the city centre of Nottingham. So I'm doing a live feed because that's my home city, and I'm walking from one part to another doing a live feed. There he is on the steps of the Galleries of Justice, which is former courthouse, and he's there, and he's got his little drone going. So you're just walking by on a live feed, and he's sitting on the steps with his drone.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah, I was like,
That's
oh, there's
awesome.
Brian J. Kano. Oh, there's his drone. Like, what the? So he took photos of everyone on the steps from his drone. And that is so cool.
Nice. Oh, that's
Yeah,
cool.
but
That's cool of him to do.
yeah, he did. Like, he just took photos of the groups all the time with his drone, and it's so, like, amazing. Yeah, the photos are brilliant. You've got that to go with your memories, haven't you? And it was good. And he showed us different techniques as well. The way he does something, like the way he uses apps. He has a code word. So basically said to Spirit, come out with this code word.
Oh,
So then
interesting.
you know when they're going to start talking. Because apps, a lot of people say one thing or the other, but you use whatever suits. So what sort of equipment do you use, or how do you sort of investigate?
That's a good question. Yeah, so when I go on investigations, I've realized lately that a lot of our current investigation techniques that we use mainstream, which a lot of it came from TV, is very much based in trauma, like talking about trauma and asking spirits to relive their trauma, which not so fun. So we've been trying to. So my team and I, we've been trying to, when we investigate, and especially for me when I investigate with other people, trying to talk more contextually to the spirits about like their everyday lives, or and even like I try to go super broad in general as possible, because just because I walk into a house from the 1700s, it doesn't mean that the spirits there are from the 1700s.
No, that's right.
It could be a spirit from last year. It could be anybody. So
it could be someone's mum come with them as well.
It could be. It really could be. Like there's a whole there's a whole rabbit hole with this we can go down. So I try to talk about like fun stuff at first, just to kind of break the ice. I also share my story as well of, hey, here's why I'm here. Let them get to know me too, because, we depend and assume a lot of trust that the spirits have in us when we talk and ask these questions, because we
Definitely.
ask some pretty personal questions.
Yeah.
So I definitely want to try to establish some rapport and some trust with the spirit first, instead of just diving right in and going, hey, tell us your name, give us a sign of your presence, or blah, blah, blah. I don't
Flash that light,
that's
please.
exactly, can you turn this light off? I
Yeah.
want to try to establish a little bit of a rapport with them before I do anything. So
Yeah, get you.
in terms of equipment, I tend to go more with stuff that's activated by some sort of motion or interaction. So we'll do baseline readings. We'll do like the K2 meters, motion activated alarms that are subtle, not like blaring with beeps.
Yeah,
I do
noisy
enjoy
things. Oh dear.
exactly.
If you're in a
I do
room and
enjoy.
somebody's got noisy stuff, dear me.
I know, right? I do enjoy a good REM pod session, especially if they're using it, because then it gets,
Yeah.
I know that phones, I know that all that can, set off REM pods. And for me, it's like, as long as we know what we have around us that could set it off, it can help us remove that.
That's right.
And then focus. And I think that's something that a lot of people, especially skeptics, don't want to address is, okay, well, we've identified what could make the REM pod go off. We're going to remove that from the room. And then so when we do get interactions and reactions,
it's
we know it's something else, and not, we know it wouldn't be my phone that's setting it off.
You've debunked everything you possibly can. Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah,
So.
like some just think that using a walkie-talkie in a REM pod's fine. Well, it isn't.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So we do a lot of that. I do have like equipment that looks more contextual. Like I have REM pods that look like lanterns.
Brilliant.
And I have a bear that will go off. It's where is it? Uh-oh. I had it. Oh, it's on the other side. I was like, wait, I know I have a bear. I have a bear that lights up, and when you touch it, the noises are a bit jarring. Though it's not like the Boo Bear, where it's like, that tickles. It's not like it talks that sweet voice.
I was at Hillview with Katrina Wildman, and somebody had a Boo Bear on the bed, and it's getting hot, it's getting cold. I wanted to throw it out the window. You're just you're trying to investigate and that thing. Yeah. That put me off the Boo Bear.
Oh, yeah. The one I have, it's very jarring, actually. I can grab it. It's just on the other side here. Excuse me while I roll my chair around. Whoop, whoop, whoop. There we go.
The what?
Yeah, versatile. Very versatile. Let me turn you on.
It's funny how we've got our kit around us. Yeah, like a REM, isn't it?
Yeah, so it's not like a terrible noise. It's not a terrible noise, but you can see he lights up.
Like a REM, yeah.
Yeah, it's just like a REM, yeah. And this one's named Scare Bear, so it's the Wish version of Boo Bear.
Love it.
But I wouldn't mind getting an actual Boo Bear, because I think I do like the voice reactions more than the beeping. But they're just so expensive.
Gosh, yeah.
They're like three something, couple $100.
Oh wow, I like the EDI.
Oh, I want one of those so bad.
Yeah, I got one.
So expensive.
I got it for £120. Somebody was selling it from a piece of. They're getting rid of all the ghost hunting kit, and I got it for that because I was looking at it, and it's like $269 USD plus tax and postage.
Oh my god!
I got it so cheap, and I was so happy. It's like wow, and it's the old model. It's not the plus, but I love it. It's one of my favorite
that one's
bits.
going for, how much is that going for these days? That's going for quite a bit of money still, I think.
Because at the time it's like $269 USD.
And
obviously.
They're very rare because I think they're custom built and handmade with every order.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so those can be very hard to.
I don't see the old ones anymore. Yeah. Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
maybe it'll turn out like a DR60 then. Worth a
Oh my
few
gosh.
grand. Yes, they're
Yeah.
good. I haven't got one of those. Yeah. So what do you think of them? Have you seen a DR60 being used?
I haven't. No, I
Oh
haven't.
wow, okay, yeah. I've witnessed it a few times, and yeah, they're special. A lot do call them saying, "Oh, it's just, it's just crackle, it's just noise." But no, it comes out with proper EVPs.
Yeah, there's a couple of things like the V5 or the Portal V5.
Yeah,
I mean, I used to use a regular spirit box, PSB7 with like the
yeah.
Estes method, just that
I love
type of
the
thing.
Estes method. Yeah,
Me
I do
too. And
like.
it's funny because I was doing that method before it actually had a name. Like it
Oh,
was just one of
brilliant!
those, yeah. And it was because I looked at the Gonsfeld method or the Gonsfeld experiment. And I was like,
Yeah,
well, what if we did something kind of with the sensory deprivation, a little something similar. Now, I won't say that I invented it. I definitely did. And I think it was one of those synchronicities because,
yeah,
the people who came up with the Estes method,
oh,
they're connected with Greg and Dana Newkirk. It's all about synchronicities.
yeah,
I think there was just a lot of, and I know of other people who did that as well. And I think it's just nice that we finally have a name for it,
yeah.
instead of
That's
just
right.
like, oh, I'm going to do the spirit box with a blindfold and noise canceling headphones. It's like,
Yeah,
no, we have a name for it now, which is great. So,
yeah. There's a team here which did a three-way one, and I was part of
oh,
that. So
nice.
they plugged three devices into the one SB7. So I've actually got footage and I took part. So, all three of you should actually hear the same words. So different things were coming out, different times, but then there's a girl who I'm not sure if she had a hearing issue or a sight issue, but she had some issue. But she was actually getting a lot of words more than us, and they were
Huh.
they were right. You know what I mean? They were valid. They're right
Oh,
for the area.
wow.
So it's really like, whether she's picking up a different frequency or something. But yeah, it was really she was really in tune and getting the information. But yeah, so I actually put footage on my TikTok. To be fair, it's
You
not so
should.
I have, but people don't want to see something like 29 minutes on TikTok, do they? I put it on the wrong
Usually,
place. I need to put it on YouTube.
yeah, put it on YouTube and
Yeah.
maybe do a clip, like a 15-second clip on TikTok.
Yeah, I'm a bit new on TikTok, so yeah, I got that wrong. I just shoved it on there, but yeah,
Nice.
but I'm doing alright on TikTok. You're doing very well on TikTok.
I don't know how that happened.
Well done,
I don't
you.
know how that happened, but good times, good times.
Yeah,
Yeah, I have a lot of young people. There's a lot of like younger people that follow me on TikTok, and
that's cool.
yeah, so it just made me realize like I have a lot of responsibility to. Oh, thanks, Wes. If anything, Becky Galantine and Kalani, they're like the true TikTok masters because I think Kalani's at like almost 2 million followers now. It's crazy.
Oh my god.
And Becky, I think, is at 700,000. So
Oh my god.
amazing.
Wow.
Yeah. So I really, and honestly, this is the next generation of the paranormal community.
Oh, it is. That's right.
And I've been seeing a lot of posts on Facebook of people like talking down about people on TikTok or young people like posting their ghost hunts on TikTok. And I'm like, listen, they're curious, and two, they are looking for people to collaborate with and work with. And I mean, I've had
That's
quite a
right.
few like high schoolers and college students reach out to me saying, hey, can you give us any advice on paranormal investigating? And
Oh, that's lovely.
and I'm more than happy to. Usually what I do is I'll hop on a Zoom call with them just to be like, hey, let's talk through this, because I can tell you things via messenger, but I don't know what exactly you need, because what you think you need may not be what you need. So
That's right. It's easier to talk, isn't it?
yeah, it's just easier to talk, and plus
Yeah.
it gives me a face to look at, and
Yeah.
and I could talk through it. I don't have to type through it, which is always a plus.
Well, gosh, yeah. It's just a pain. You just think, sod that, let's just chat. But yeah,
Mhm.
I've been there a few
Yeah.
times. Yeah, but if there is a young person starting out, what do you know? Where should where should they start? What would you say?
For someone just starting out, I would say read books. And I would say start with like your area. Start with where you
Yeah,
live. That's the place you know the best. See if there's any local ghost stories around where you live. See if there's any like meetup groups where people who are also into the paranormal can get together and
yeah,
talk and everything. That's actually how I meet a lot of really cool people in my area.
that's
There's
good.
no paranormal meetup group where I live right now, but that's going to change because I'm going to start one. Because I'm
That's
like, well,
brilliant. Yeah, why
if if
not?
if it's not here, then I'm just going to create it. So that's what I decided I'm going to do. Yeah, and really just start talking to people, reaching out to people, and see what they're about. Reading books, though, I think is like the easiest way to do it. That's
Yeah,
it's asynchronous. And if you have questions, I know for me, I get people sending me questions all the time after they've read my book, and they'll
oh wow,
ask more
that's cool.
specific questions. Yeah, and when I can, I'll answer them. And if I'm not able to answer their question, or if someone knows more about that topic than I do, then I'll refer them to somebody else.
But that's so
Which,
lovely that you're willing to do that.
yeah. I mean,
That
since
is
I
good
was with,
of you.
and also doing these interviews too. That's a big one. Just putting my face out there and saying, hey,
Yeah,
let's have a chat.
yeah. Thank you
Um,
for talking to me. It's just lovely. It's really
yeah.
lovely to speak. You've got Henry Lee here. He's from
Oh, Henry.
the old
Hey.
Gilchrist County Jail,
Oh,
Florida.
and Trenton.
So yeah. But it's just wonderful what you do, and yeah, it is the help of the community. You
Yeah,
know, when
it's
you do talk to people, and it is great. And the
yeah,
thing
I
is
love it.
about like we've all met on Facebook, and there are sometimes issues with Facebook. So a lot of the time we're like looking for other like ways of doing it, aren't we? Like this goes out onto YouTube, but you don't
Hmm.
always get the interaction on YouTube, do you? Like you do on Facebook.
No, not all the time. And even like on TikTok, I get more traction on TikTok, but I still go back to Facebook,
Yeah,
especially if I want to reach a certain demographic of people.
yeah, that's it. Yeah, certainly. It's got us in contact. It's got a lot of people in contact, hasn't it?
Yeah. Oh,
Like,
100% it
the
does. Yeah.
the people around the world who have met, from Australia, Japan, obviously the US. It is amazing. I got a lot of
Yeah.
Portuguese people posting on my page as well. So
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
wonderful. And just to see how different people just investigate in like different countries, things like that,
Hmm.
and the different buildings as well. Different
Yeah.
architecture, and totally different places, aren't there? But in a way, they do the same.
Hmm.
Still got similar equipment. So yeah,
Yeah, it's all like we're all kind of the same in a sense, but we also have differences that really make everyone just amazing and able
yeah,
to
that's
contribute.
right. That's right. It's just a mutual respect, really, because we're all well, yeah. A lot of us have a mutual respect where we're just all trying to go ahead and like just find out more, really.
Yeah, no,
It is
exactly,
brilliant.
agreed.
Yeah. But isn't it like a drug? Because once you start, that's it. The amount of money you spend on it and the amount of exploring and the time. I went to a party last night. I had to go home early because I'd been out the night before ghost hunting. And it just wiped me out, so I just couldn't do the party. Just horrendous. And yeah,
Same.
I do double ghost hunts, and I can manage that. Back to back ones are like, well, ish, very
Yeah.
rare.
I
But
get
yeah.
so tired after ghost hunts. I mean, it's literally like somebody or something is sucking the energy right out of me like
Oh
like through a
gosh,
straw.
yeah. I'm generally okay, but like a few weeks ago, I went somewhere and I really don't know what happened that night. And I only drove like less than 5 miles and just had to stop at the gas station because
Hmm.
I just needed a coffee. And it was just mad. And yeah, it was only an hour's drive. I
Oh,
just couldn't
wow.
make it home. It was just terrible. So yeah, I just got wiped out that night. That was really unusual. Oh
Dang.
yeah. So Henry Lee. It gets a lot of different sorts of hunting. So yeah.
Oh, nice. Para
Uh,
hangover. It is
oh
real.
gee, it is real. I've had it when it's just like you have had loads of sessions and it has really badly affected me. It's not just been about being tired and headache either. No further information required. But yeah, that was a bad one. But yeah, but it is a wonderful world, and yeah, I need to get your books. So check out Amazon. I will post a link on Paranormal Path. And check out the spooky stuff as well. So that's where you write the blogs. And has anybody got any quick questions? Because we're about to finish. So if anyone's got a last question, I've got warning of thunderstorm coming up, so that's going to affect the internet. Oh, I hope we get one. I love them. So yeah, I think we draw that to a close anyway. But thank you so much. It's been absolutely wonderful. Interesting going off onto the Japan.
I know, right?
These things
I love that.
I don't know. You just start and the show's going to go there, and yeah, I'm really going to look more into the Suicide Forest, I think, and certainly
definitely.
check out your YouTube and share that as well, if that's
Awesome.
a specific one. But yeah, thank you so much for your time and good luck with your wedding preparations and everything.
Thank you. Thank
Wow.
you. I'm actually going to be going back to that after we're done here. So.
Oh, bless you. I can't wait to see the photos and everything. But yeah, have
thanks.
a special day and just stop and look around. Throughout your day, just take a moment just to stop and look about and just try and get an imprint of what's happening because it's absolute chaos and you're trying to speak to everyone and oh wow. But yeah, and good luck to you. Yeah, Henry Lee. I do try and go live every Monday. Not sure if it's a show tomorrow and then off for 2 weeks. So I will post when I'm back again. All right. So thanks everyone for watching and take care, everyone, and have a nice week. And thank you so much, Alex. Goodbye, everyone. Bye. See you. Bye.